Okay, here is my very late review of Black Adam. I have always intended to do a review for this film for my channel, but I've just got sort of caught up with other things. But it's sort of come out in the news recently about the box office results in regards to this film, and it's not been that impressive when it comes to sort of the financial side of this movie and how much it's made at the box office, which does kind of surprise me, considering you've got The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, as Black Adam, the lead character, and it's quite a breezy, pacey action movie. And so I think when it comes to sort of the financial side of the movie, the box office, I thought it would do a lot better than it actually has done. Now, for me personally, money is not everything. You know, there are movies that I love that didn't do too well at the box office, and there are movies that I've disliked but have done very well at the box office. For me, it's not all about the money, but the experience. And Black Adam, for me personally, was an experience. It was an enjoyable, entertaining experience that I had a really good time with. Does that mean the movie's perfect? No, it doesn't. It's a very flawed movie, and for me there's an awful lot of things wrong with it. You know, the writing, the character development, the performances, the editing. You know, for me, overall this was a very flawed, bad movie. The pacing can be a little bit too pacey at times, a little bit too breezy, sacrificing, things such as character development. So yeah, there was a lot of things that I felt like was wrong with the film, but I just could not help but enjoy this movie. I had such a fun, entertaining time with Black Adam, and it was, I just, for 2 hours, and that's what I feel like this is what I feel like films should do. Films should transport you into whatever world and story they're trying to sort of tell, and you need to be immersed. And I'll be very honest with you, even though I could acknowledge what was wrong with the movie, for those 2 hours, I was entertained. In regards to the performances, there were some really annoying and ropey performances from a lot of the characters in this film. But there were some standouts as well, and some positive standouts, that is. And that's Dwayne, for one. Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam was great in this role, and I consider it to be one of his best performances. I really felt sort of the pain that this character was going through and what I needed to feel from this character. I feel like Dwayne Johnson did a really good job in conveying that part of the character, his emotional journey, and I really liked that. But the movie doesn't really get bogged down into that kind of side of the story and the character, and some people may like that, but some people may want more. They might want a bit of a deeper sort of story or a deeper character journey, and I'm actually one of those maybe that wanted more of that, more sort of in the vein of Man of Steel, which is one of my favourite superhero movies all time. I absolutely adore that movie, and I feel like there were elements of that, very, very small elements of that in this. There are signs of it, but overall, no, they kind of touch on that deeper emotional side to the story, but you really, really see it, and it's conveyed quite well by Dwayne Johnson through his performance. I really dug his performance in this film. I think he did a great job. This movie was much more focused on having a good, entertaining, fun time. And there are some really fun, well-shot action scenes throughout this movie. I loved the scene where you've got Black Adam's introduction in the tomb, and just that entire sequence I thought was great. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. There are some really brutal moments dotted throughout this movie as well that I felt really pushed the 12A rating. But along with the action and how the action was shot and how it played out, I felt was very creative and different. And I liked that. I really, really appreciated that. It just felt different. It felt new, and it felt quite immersive as well. Especially that tomb scene where Black Adam is introduced, and he's just going throughout this tomb, killing people, and just the way that entire scene plays out was just so immersive, and Dwayne Johnson just has this presence throughout the entire scene, and it's kind of, it gives you almost goosebumps when you're watching it, or for me it did anyway, because just he really embodies this role, and he's, like I said, he's a presence, and he's great. He's absolutely great throughout this film. And as much as I liked seeing the Justice Society on the big screen with Brosnan perfectly cast as Dr. Fate, and I really liked I think it's Aldis Hodge as Hawkman. I really liked his performance of this character. I really felt like maybe that this movie could have done without them. As much as I liked them and how they brought these characters to life, overall, by the end of it all, I felt like, did we really need them? And I think without them, we maybe could have had a much larger focus on Black Adam's emotional journey throughout this film and his story. We would have had much more of a focus on it. But I feel like by having all these other characters, as well as a very weak villain, and I feel like because there's a lot going on in this movie, I think this is the reason why we've got such a weak villain, even though I love the design of the villain, by the way. And even though it was great seeing the Justice Society on the big screen, as I just said, I felt like it did result in the movie having a slightly messy, rushed feeling to it. You know, it's a very pacey movie, it moves very quickly, it's very breezy, but just a little bit too much for me. And I feel like the emotional punches never quite landed as a result of this. For example, the third act with Dr. Fate, it should have had more emotional clout, but just fell flat because ultimately of how these characters were introduced into the story. It all just felt very rushed. And I feel like this film, as what it did was what happened really to the DCEU, what tripped the DCEU up. And I just feel like they introduced too much too quickly. I would have loved to have seen a solo Dr. Fate movie before seeing him within the Justice Society. I would have loved to have just had 2 hours of Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate and introducing us to this character. You know, build the character, build his world. Let's get to know the character first, just like Marvel did with their movies, where you've got all these individual character movies first. You know, yeah, they all sort of tied into each other, but these characters were front and centre, and I feel like that's where Marvel got it right. Black Adam, for me, highlights that issue. But as I said, I cannot help but enjoy what they did, what Pierce Brosnan did with the character and how he brought him to life. Same goes for Aldis Hodge as Hawkman. I just really enjoyed what they did with these characters, but I just think they could have been a different way in how we did it and how they were introduced, and maybe by just having them in this. I could see why they were in the story, because they do serve a purpose, but at the same time, I just felt like it's what sort of resulted into having that messy feel. So yeah, a very flawed, shallow experience, but at the same time, for those 2 hours, I was entertained. You know, Black Adam is a very, for me anyway, an enjoyable experience. It's fun. For me, there was never a moment where I was bored or I felt like it was dull. It does have that kind of 90s action movie superhero feel about it. You know, the writing isn't great. The editing is quite messy. Just sort of how this entire movie was structured was just a little bit messy, and how we sort of just thrown into this world and introduced to these characters was felt just a little bit too breezy and a little bit too rushed. But it was enjoyable, it was entertaining, and it was an enjoyable, entertaining, bad movie, you could say, I suppose. And you know, there are some standouts when it comes to the performances, but I really do think that Dwayne Johnson does a great job at portraying this character. He's got such a presence when he's on the screen, and I think he does a great job, and I think his performance really helps carry and drive what is a very flawed movie forward. I just think there should have been perhaps a little bit more focus on his emotional journey and his background, and so the nation, I think this is how you pronounce it, but the nation of Kandak, I believe it's a fictional country. I'm not really familiar with the comics, but yeah, there's a lot of deeper themes sort of running through it, but they've sort of touched upon, and that's about it. And some people just like that. A lot of people don't. But I just really think, at the end of the day, that this film would have done a lot more money than it actually did. So I'm a little bit surprised by that. But as I previously started out with this review, I don't think money is, money isn't everything. When it comes to film is an art, it's an experience. And I really don't like how today there's so much focus on the box office and what the film does financially, because it's not everything. For me anyway, as someone who loves movies and filmmaking, for me it's all about the experience and how I'm connected to it on an emotional level and how immersed I am. And that's all that really should matter. I recommend the movie because it's entertaining and I think you'll be enjoyed. But depending on how you look at it and how, if you're going into this film and you just want to see Dwayne Johnson be Dwayne Johnson and just have a good fun time, then you're going to really enjoy this film. But if you want a very well put together story that has emotional depth and character development, good writing, good edit, all of that, then yeah, you're going to be I think you're going to be disappointed, but you're still going to enjoy it, I think. So it's, yeah. And because I had so much fun with this movie, because I enjoyed this movie, and it was a fun experience, acknowledging all of its flaws, I cannot help but give it the grade that I'm about to give it. If this film wasn't as fun and as entertaining as it was, this would have been much lower. But no, I will be giving Black Adam a 6 out of 10. And yeah, they are my thoughts on Black Adam. What did you think? Please let me know below and let's get a discussion going. Did you agree or disagree with anything I said? Please let me know below in the comments. And if you want to see future movie reviews and just general movie talk from a geek in Wales, then please hit that subscribe button. It'll mean an awful lot to me. And I got quite a few Christmas movie reviews planned for the countdown to Christmas coming up. They are going to start next week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing you those. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be seeing you soon.